Adele Jones, and we cannot thank you enough for tuning into Have You Heard, a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment Network. We're so excited to see you. Make sure that you like and share this show so everybody can check out what's going on. There's nothing better than having great conversations with great friends, and that's what this show is all about. We hope that our conversation will entertain, uplift, and empower you to live your best life possible. We always like feedback as well. So to join in on the conversation, we'd love to hear your comments in the chat section, and we will be sure to get back to you. And also, please, please, please share this show to all your social media outlets. That would be greatly appreciated. You can't keep this information to yourself, so make sure you share it. And lastly, please know that you can always find more episodes and other great shows if you go to ruderangers.com. So as I said, we're going to be talking about some great stuff today, and I have the pleasure and honor of introducing my co-host. So we're going to kick it off and get started. And Coach Heidi, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, thank you so much, Fidel. So great to be with all of you today. I'm Coach Heidi Kay, certified life and dating coach and host of Breakup to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi Kay podcast, creator of Real Connection virtually Zoom events for singles. And that is me in a nutshell.
Thanks so much, Heidi. And absolutely, last but not least, of course, we have the Fitter Woman.
Hi, everybody. My name is Orlandina, aka the Fitter Woman. I am an educator, motivator, professional bodybuilder. I am also the host of Muscles and Stilettos and the founder of Fitter Woman University. My goal is to help each and every one of you find time in your busy schedule to become the fittest, healthiest, and happiest you.
Absolutely. So, as you can see, these ladies are powerhouses, and we are going to really have a great time and just share a little bit of information with all of you. One of the things that I really wanted to kind of talk about was what I have been up to. So, my family and I are serious film and TV people. And, during this season, we've been just watching a lot of TV. We don't read as much. My husband is a big reader, but my son is too. Actually, my daughter. I think it's just me. So we've been watching a lot of TV, and I'm a big binge watcher, and I am like a Netflix junkie. And you can get caught up in Netflix just on and on and on and on. And we also watched. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but we've watched. Hamilton, the musical. I don't know if you had an opportunity to check that out.
I'm actually supposed to get a group together, and we're watching it this weekend. We were supposed to watch it last weekend, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I've heard some phenomenal things about it. I heard it's an awesome show. Mm-hmm. But I'm definitely a big binger. I've been watching The Umbrella Academy, Ragnarok. So I'll sit there and watch these episodes.
Yeah, fun. You can't stop. You can't get enough, and then you're dragging the next day with your eyes closing, right?
Yeah, I've been on the Office kick, so I love the Office. So I've started, with season 1, and I'm at the very last season, and every night I just watch a couple of episodes just to get my Office fix, But it is really a family, a family affair in our house. We do tend to sit in front of the TV and just watch really good shows and critique them and pick them apart.
It's a bonding experience, but you've got to figure out, you've got to kind of agree on what you're binging on. So that can get complicated, right?
It can. We compromise.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Some compromise to figure out what to binge.
Right,
sure.
Right.
So, for me, what I'm beginning to notice is, I'm getting out more and socializing in person as opposed to behind the screen, outdoors, socializing with small groups. And that's kind of new after all of these months. And I'm usually a really social person, and I love connecting, but somehow I'm feeling sort of off or weird when I'm socializing now in person. I'm like, first that was weird being on screen, and now it's strange being in person. So I just I'm trying to get my groove to be myself when I'm socializing, be authentically me. I'm a little quieter than usual. I'm not laughing as easily. It's all taking some getting used to reorient. Is it just me, or is it you girls too, or everybody, or what?
Yeah, I definitely am going through the same thing. I'm trying to figure out how many feet away are you from me? Did you laugh a little bit too
Hey,
long?
back up.
Right.
Back up. And it's
so
like,
true.
I'm a hugger. I'm such a hugger. And I can't even, now I'm like, oh, I don't know. Elbow bump, that type of thing. So yeah, it definitely has become awkward.
Yeah.
It really is. I know a friend of mine, she said, do you want to go to dinner? And, it was indoor seating. And I'm like, we don't live in the same household. I don't know about that. So it is. As a matter of fact, last night we went to one of our friends' house, and it was a small group. I think it was about 6 of us or so. And it was it was 8 of us, but it was very interesting just to see how we all moved, and the hand sanitizer was there. We were outside, so it was great. But you're right, it's just so different. It really is different, and you have to get used to it again. Everybody's on edge, and and that's understandable. That's understandable. Orlandina, what's been going on with you?
Well, I'm into fitness. So, just working out at home, going
we can tell, we see, we gotcha.
Just a little. Just show them off a little bit. But, people are working out from home, and, so which is awesome. I think that's great. Everybody's finding a way to just stay moving. But now I keep seeing these corsets that everybody's wearing. And a lot of the ladies, I should say, are wearing these corsets, and everybody's aiming for the same specific shape, and it's driving me up a wall. I'm like, why are you wearing these things? So a lot of people are like, oh, this is gonna help me lose weight. No, putting down the Haagen-Dazs will help you to lose weight.
That first.
Everybody's blaming COVID, because of COVID I put on, an extra 20. I'm like, no, because we ran to BJ's one too many times. And then so they put on these little cinchers to help,
The cinchers,
okay.
The cinchers, is that like Spanx? Is that the same kind of thing as wearing Spanx?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same concept. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Concept.
You wear a nice little waist cincher underneath your black, nice, beautiful black dress, and it does make you feel confident. You look nice and sleek. It's great for those things. It's great for temporary support, but it's not great for permanent wear. I'm like, you got to do other things. This is not gonna.
That's not the answer.
This is just a little support system. Yeah, it's not the answer. So they'll do that and then run to BJ's and buy the family pack of whatever it is.
Whatever it might
but
be.
it's sugar free.
But there's calories in that.
So it's been interesting. Exactly. They'll get the yogurt with the little M&M sprinkles, and the yogurt will say low fat. I'm like, yeah, do you think the M&M sprinkles have low fat in there? So it's been interesting watching people's journey.
Right. I think this whole season has really, people are doing more shopping online. I know that I have done so much online shopping. I am on a first name basis with our FedEx, Amazon, PS guys and gals out there. I've been ordering more food online, DoorDash. It's really become a problem.
Yeah, I remember Amazon used to be like, oh my God, I got an Amazon package. I'm like, oh, here, another one. I don't even open it the same day anymore. Now I'll get to it.
Sometimes for me, I feel like I would buy more if I was in the store than I do on Amazon. Like, I'm buying a lot on Amazon, but I'm buying okay, I ran out of this, so let me order some more. When I'm going to the store, I'm going up and down the aisles. Oh, that looks like a good kind of lotion. Let me try that one. And I'm not doing that as much online, which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, I've been spending some, money on my home, because the home is, the sanctuary. We don't really leave home that much.
Yeah.
So we want to get a jacuzzi, and we're thinking about getting a pool. We're just going crazy. And that's, the big bucks are really coming in.
Yeah, those aren't the small purchases for sure.
Right,
No,
right.
no.
Yeah, and the cesspool we had to get pumped because everybody's home. We had to.
Oh no!
I mean, it's just.
Uh-oh.
This is costing me money. This is definitely costing me money.
Oh my God.
So as you can see, we are having an awesome conversation here. We are going to take a quick break, and after these messages, we'll be right back to Have You Heard, powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment.
Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com, KeishaGems.com.
So I'm Verdell Jones, and I'm here with Coach Heidi K and the Fitter Woman, Orlandina. And you're watching Have You Heard? This is a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Thank you for watching, and make sure, if you like what you see so far, that you share on all social media platforms so everybody can check out what's going on here. So I want to ask you, ladies, have you heard that 50% of millennials and Gen Zs are moving back with their parents after college? According to a TD Ameritrade survey, this is the case. And one of the things that they say is the reason behind it is because of student loans. Student loan debt, I mean, you hear it all the time, is astronomical. And a lot of these young adults that are, coming out of college really can't, or they don't think they can afford living on their own. So they're coming back to with mom and dad. This is a personal experience that we've had, my husband and myself. We have two, what I like to call grownish children that live with us. And my children are awesome, so I don't mind. But I guess it's, you think the generations that come after you are supposed to, you always hear this too, are supposed to do better than the generations before. So I think that's kind of the struggle and the frustration that, our kids are having, and making the decision, like, should they pay rent when they're here? Should they contribute? I think that becomes, a question too. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's a really pervasive issue. I hear a lot about it from my clients. And, the other question is, how much do they pitch in around the household chores? Aside from what you're bringing up, the rent, are they, messing up the kitchen and leaving it all for someone else to clean up, or, all that stuff. So that can get kind of complicated. And, a lot of times I'm talking with clients about kind of having collaborative discussions with those adult children, bringing them in on the solution rather than looking to kind of dictate, hey, here's what you got to do and here's what you got to do, because somehow that doesn't follow through, Right. So having those collaborative discussions where you get their ideas, where you pull from them. Here's the stuff that needs to get done. What are we going to do about it? What's everybody willing to pitch in on, or something around
Right.
like that? Yeah.
And the conversation that we had with them is making that shift from them being children and them being adults. So our conversation kind of led into, this is your home as well. This is not mommy and daddy's home only, and we do everything in the house. You have to contribute because this is your house too. Treat this like this is really your place that you're living at, and look at things that need to be done.
Yeah.
Pitch in, like you said. And those are, conversations that we did have to, kind of have with them.
it's interesting because at that age they have to redefine their role. I'm an educator. I teach the middle school, and one of the struggles that I notice that my students will have is just redefining their roles at a certain age, because when they were children, I mean, they're still young adults, they're still young people, but as you get older and you're, going over into high school, your role changes. So I think as an adult, young adult, living at home, you're like, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not 18. I'm not, what you would consider, I'm no longer your illegal responsibility. So I think that, like Coach Heidi said, is the idea of having this conversation, having them see is, listen, this is our home. You sleep here, you live here, so you've got to treat this, and this is your home. So I think it's that shift for you as a parent and for them as young people to realize, I'm a young adult now and I have young adult responsibility.
Right. It's about a shift in a mindset, and taking responsibility for that adulthood. And the issue comes up in some households also in reference to paying rent or paying for something. And I think when children return home after college, it's a situation where they want to save money. So how can we navigate that as parents with these grownish children?
Yeah, it's sticky and awkward, but I think what happens for a lot of young adults at that age is that they'll end up getting really comfortable in their parents' home. And then where does it end? What's designed to be kind of a temporary transition can start getting into a real protracted stay, which isn't necessarily in the best interests of anybody concerned. So those are important kind of awkward conversations about in their parents' home.
I think that they should be given a timeline. Like, if you notice your child is getting a little bit too comfortable, do you think they should just give them like look, you got 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? Like, do you think they should be given a certain timeline? Because I'd be like,
so
you making me talk too much. What do you think?
I'm living this experience, and I know I'm a little biased, but I think my kids are awesome. I actually love having them around, and I hear a lot of parents, especially that when students are home and children are home, I'm an educator too, they want to get their children out of the house. Yeah. I hear from colleagues also that have college-age children, they can't wait for them to go. I actually love having them around. We have a show called Let's Kick It with the Joneses. We have a good time. We really have a good time, and we get along, and I actually like them. You don't always have to like your children, but I love and like them. So I think parents get comfortable too.
Yes, great point. Then it becomes,
that is a good point.
And then you might kind of facilitate the environment so they don't leave so quickly. That's a big change for you. And then you have to start redefining.
Right. So we only had maybe like a couple of years. Our son lived in Brooklyn for a little while after he graduated. He lived there for about 3 years. And then our daughter, was in college. And my husband and myself were home alone. And I thought I was going to be really upset, but it was actually really, really nice. We didn't have to worry about feeding people. Mm-hmm. We could do whatever we wanted. We could stay up late, go to bed early. It didn't matter. Now I feel like even though they're grown, I have to still make sure that they eat and that they're okay. And so it's interesting, an interesting dynamic. For sure.
So really different dynamic, and so great that you and your husband enjoyed that time, and will probably eventually go back to enjoying that time. That's many times if you can get used to it again. So that's many times when individuals come to me for coaching and, talking about the struggles in their relationship and in their marriage when the kids are grown, and sort of the kids were the glue. Everything was focused on the kids, and now the kids are creating their own life and moving on. And now mom and dad are looking at each other, and how do we enjoy ourselves together? And do we even want to? And so that can really be an important transition time, I know, for a lot of the people who I work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
interesting you're saying that because that's one of the topics that Muffins and Stilettos is going to be touching on this upcoming season, this concept of redefining and reclaiming yourself.
Cool.
Because many of my clients are women that are to that transition. You know, they're heading towards that empty nest and they're like, wait a minute, my role was mom or my role was wife. Well, who am I now? And
Yeah.
they're realizing that things got kind of put to the side to take care of the family and the kids and whatnot. And they're like, wait a second, where do I fit in? Who am I? So it's interesting you say that because it's the idea that now it's going to shift. And some people welcome it and some people are afraid. I've heard of, you know, my own friends are like, oh my God, it's going to be me and him alone in the house. I'm like, but you married him. But, you know.
Right. And what we did was we started that process a little sooner. So when the kids were, you know, in high school, and our daughter, you know, she's the youngest, when she was in high school, she was driving and she would, you know, take herself to practice and school and all of that. And we had an opportunity to, because she was so busy, to kind of reconnect. So we started that process before they actually left. So when they did, we weren't looking at each other like, who's this guy? You know, we really made a conscious effort to kind of do that.
I was going to ask you, was that a conscientious decision? That's really smart. That's really good to do something like
Keep
that.
those date nights going all the way through, whatever age you are.
Yeah, you have to plan. You know, you have to plan for it because, but then on the flip side, they kind of come back. I think they're calling this generation, you know, besides millennials and Zs, the boomerang generation, because they do tend to, you know, to come back. It's so expensive. And it's so frustrating to hear our children say that they might not be able to get a house of their own. And that's just, you know, sometimes I think that's the reality for them because it's just so much and they're in debt and, you know, it's very difficult.
Especially in certain areas, like we're in New York.
Yes.
So things are very expensive, you know, so between that, paying back your school loans and just trying to function and navigate in such an expensive state. That's why so many of them just move out of state. Or they have, at least they're smart enough to come home rather than put themselves deeper in debt. But, you know, leaving college and
now everybody can do everything remotely. So they can come home and be working in another state. It's so confusing. Right. Where are we? Where do we live? Where do we work? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So, you know what? We're going to take a quick break. And after these messages, we'll be right back. And remember, you're watching Have You Heard? Powered by the Rude Rangers Entertainment Network.
watching Have You Heard on Rude Rangers Entertainment. I'm Coach Heidi K. So excited to be talking with you today with my amazing co-hosts, Verdell and Orlandina. I hope everybody is sharing away on social media because we want to empower and educate and lift up as many people as we can with our conversation. So share away and get all your friends to join. We've got lots to talk about with you. So I've been thinking a lot about what's going on with my coaching clients and workshop participants and what we've been talking a lot about this week. And that is about red flags to watch out for in the dating world. And it's such an important conversation for people that are embarking on the dating world, either when you're coming out of a relationship after a long time, or even if, struggling a bit and you're trying to change it up and make it work. What are the red flags that are going to kind of save you a lot of angst and disappointment and frustration? And so one of the really big ones that I talk a lot about with coaching clients is when someone comes on an extreme, majorly on an extreme. So they are showering you with compliments. They are sending you long messages all day long. And they want to see you and they want to go out with you, and then they want to go out with you again and again the next night and the next day. And it's never enough. They're just all consumed with you. And so that on some level can feel really flattering, especially when people have been feeling lonely or, they haven't gotten all of that validation about how amazing they are. So sometimes we can sort of fall into that, how great it is when somebody is so into being with us on such an extreme. But what happens is that person that comes on an extreme, that's how you do anything is how you do everything. That's one of my favorite expressions. So when they come forward on an extreme, they tend to withdraw on an extreme. So when you least expect it, all of a sudden, they've completely lost interest and gone the other way. What you want to look for instead is the slow but steady wins the race. So one of the main red flags is that coming on an extreme, and not to be overcome by the flattery of it, because it's really the way this person operates rather than something fabulous about you, even though we all want to feel fabulous. But we don't want that to be the barometer, because that's a person who operates on extremes. Right. What do you girls think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I like what you say about the flattery piece, because you would think that if somebody is showering you with compliments and wanting to reach out to you all the time, that definitely it makes you feel good, and we all want to feel good. So for some it's hard to kind of separate that from that red flag, but I think there's more signs in that extreme, and some people are not, they just don't have that clear vision of it, because either they want to be in a relationship so bad, so they say this is a good thing, and they don't decipher the extremeness. Yes.
I
so
totally,
many people.
It really does, because you'll I'll hear girlfriends of mine like, oh my God, he calls me every day and he always wants to be with me. And I'm like, that's great that he's into you, but when the person's too into you, I'm like, that extreme nature is too much. And you're right, Verdell, when you say that sometimes people don't pick up on those messages. I'm like, that's when you hear, oh my God, he's so into you, and then he's so into me, and he's always there, and next thing you know, you try to step and do something different. Where you going? Where you been? How you doing? And those are telltale signs of run.
Yeah.
Run!
Yeah. So really interesting that you mentioned that. I find this a lot, when clients talk to me about internet dating. Sometimes the person hasn't even met them yet, but they're already exhibiting signs of possessiveness, jealousy, anger, when they haven't even met yet. So that person is waving a red flag from the rooftop. Waving it, run, hurry, fast, because it ain't getting better. This is the person on good behavior. It's getting worse.
It's true. One of the things that I noticed with the online dating, you'll see people, they're so interactive, like on text. They will text you morning, noon, and night. But then when it comes to actual conversation, they can't converse with you. So I'm like, okay, so have they, at this point, Coach Heidi, are they just the person that's so obsessed with you? Are they obsessed with you? Or are they obsessed with the thought of you? Because they are interacting with you heavily via text, but when it comes to conversation, they can't converse.
Yeah.
So have they made up some idea of you?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's nervous.
Great point. Are they in love with being in love? Or is it something special about you? Is it just the idea? And it's pervasive now in the dating world with people hiding behind texting. And it's kind of like a fake relationship that people get into. And I see this all the time, and I'm asking, why are you going for days and days texting a person that you have never met? So now they're in a thing where, the person knows when I went to the grocery store and I unloaded my groceries, and then I drove my daughter here, and I'm going to the movies here. And, it's a whole fake relationship, but it's fake because you've never met. And the only way that you're going to know if this is a match is by getting face-to-face. Even during COVID, you might have to get face-to-face by video first, and you might have to get face-to-face with a mask or outdoors, back up, buddy, right. Keep your distance. But then you have to get face-to-face. Whatever you're doing on that text, it's not real.
Nothing. Yeah.
That shows like catfish come out.
Right. Exactly. And with the dating scene, it's that online dating, it's very interesting. And so I've been married for 32 years this year, and then we dated in high school for 5 years before we got married. So dating I honestly really don't know too much about dating. And especially now. So I kind of live through my kids' life, but they don't share too much with me.
So you're hearing about it from them. You're hearing about it from them for sure. Exactly. But a lot of people have lived their life like you have. And, God bless, you've got, great stuff going on in your relationships, but when their relationship deteriorates, sometimes they find themselves, having to re-navigate the world of dating after being out of it for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. These are the people who I work with, and that was me actually coming out of a long marriage and having been with my ex-husband from the time I was very young, and all of a sudden having to re-navigate this world and thinking to myself, you mean I'm going to meet somebody on a computer? What? A stranger? And flash. That's what I did.
Right. Wow.
And I'm now remarried to somebody who I met internet dating. But when I first had to fathom this idea, I was just, my mind was blown. I couldn't imagine how this could possibly work. But this is the way of today, and I had to get up to speed. I really did. But I have a lot of empathy for people who I work with who are going through the same thing, coming out of long relationships at any age and just not knowing how to re-navigate this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't even.
We've got that innate desire for companionship and love, and so we find a way,
I was married for, not as long as you ladies, but I was married for about 7 years and dating. So altogether, we were together for about 10 years. So then when we divorced and I had to start dating, I was like, wow, okay. One of the things I kept remembering, there's a lot of broken people out here. Like, what's wrong with you?
You're right.
And then so, just and finding ways to meet people. I wasn't comfortable with online. So I kept saying, no, I've got to meet somebody doing something that I enjoy out there, being active, because I was so concerned about these little catfish scenarios. So when I would meet people, especially the guys that were heavy into texting, I would always shy away from them. I'm like, why are you so into the texting? Because it would never come into a real relationship. relationship.
Yeah.
And so, you know, or they were just a little bit too, hey, where are you? Where are you going? And how long are you going to be there? I'm like, you asking way too many questions.
You don't even know me yet.
I don't even know you yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, my father never even, you know. So, and of course, this was during the time when certain movies were coming out. So don't let me watch a movie where there's like a stalker. So now I'm like, everybody's a stalker.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely ideal to meet somebody doing what you love doing. It's you know, there's no doubt about it. But sometimes what's happening is if we're not meeting someone that way, you know, we look for other ways. And when I'm saying that there's a lot of texting, yeah, it could be a catfishing thing, but not just a catfishing thing. It's just sometimes people are filling a certain loneliness through that, and you know, and you want to ascertain and evaluate, is this a person who can move past the texting? You've got to be able to move from the texting to the phone to the date. And yes, I said phone. I said phone.
What? Have a conversation?
Like, you know, we're mature people. You've got to be able to move, you know, efficiently that way. Slow but steady.
Right.
And that means steadily wins the race.
I'm with that, because I just met too many people. I was just like, conversation, like you sit down, go to dinner. And this is, I mean, now I would say COVID does have its advantages because you can keep people at a distance.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
check
there are
them out for a
advantages.
minute. Yeah, there's some advantages to it. I will say that.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you know, be too demonstrative. I'm like, I just need to see who you are first. You know, that kind of thing. I think there's some advantages to meeting someone now. And now you are forced to have conversations because you can't, I mean, you can fall back on texting, but right now you do have to rely on conversation, so you get to know people a little bit better. It forces you.
I think it's a real advantage in the dating world to be doing that. You know, I've been talking in workshops a lot about video dating. It kind of removes that physical pull to a degree. You know, it's not the same physical pull that you would have in person, so that you can stay logically evaluating the situation, and logically, you know, figuring out, does this person potentially have the qualities that I'm looking for? Without, you know, when the physical comes in, the logic often, you know, exits simultaneously, and you know, the attraction takes over. So we might see things that, you know are not right about the person, but we'll kind of push it away or push it down or ignore it when that physical pull comes in. So if we're spending more time on conversation, like you said, Orlandina, or you know, we're having a video date where there's a screen between us, we really can stay in that evaluation.
Stay present. Where would you say it's the best place to meet people now? I mean,
so, you know, a lot of people are doing online dating now, and they're having either video dates or they're doing outdoor dates, you know, either a park or a walk or an outdoor cafe. More and more people are doing online dating. It's actually becoming even more popular because no one's out doing anything. Right. So where are you going to meet them?
So if you're doing like a video date, so you're eating dinner and they're eating dinner, and you know, so you're both eating dinner at the same time, or you know, like I got my coffee, he's got his coffee, glass of wine, you got your glass of wine.
You know, I would say video dates are a little shorter than the regular date. You know, it's a little more intense in some ways, because if you think about it, if you're on a date, the server comes over, you're ordering, you know, there's conversation about that. There's like little interruptions. When you're just face to face on the screen, it's just the two of you. So it might be a little bit of a shorter date. I do think it's a great idea to sit and have dinner together, or have your beverage of choice together. I also talk a lot about make the environment appealing. You know, don't have like your bunched up unmade bed in the background and your dirty laundry, dirty dishes behind you. It's terrible. It's terrible. terrible.
Pet peeve.
Or sometimes it's like a white wall behind the person with like fluorescent lights. It looks like they're being interrogated. So, that's not like a romantic, fun date. So you got to watch your environment and, be prepared with some topics of conversation, and ask questions, listen. I always talk about listen, double the amount that you speak. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio. So if you're doing some really good listening, you can really have an effective conversation that way.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever heard was on Cat Williams, of all people. Great comedian. I think he's awesome. Well, on one of his stand-ups, he said, you know what? My first date is always at like a coffee house. I was like, what? He said, think about it. You only spend money on coffee. It's not a big date. He says, and you're forced to have a conversation. He says, within that first date, I can tell whether you're somebody that I want to continue to speak to or not. Right. And I was like, you know what? It takes the pressure and intimacy that comes with dinner. Because a lot of people want to go and do dinner. And if you're able just to sit and have a cup of coffee, because what happens over a cup of coffee, a cup of tea is conversation. Right. So Coach Heidi, I think that's a great idea. You just sit down, you have your coffee, you have your wine, and you're just sitting there having a video chat with someone. Just chill.
That first date is just a little look-see. Is there some connection? There's always time for more next time if there's that connection. I could talk about this with you girls all day, but I think we have to go to a commercial break. So we'll be back real soon, and don't go away. Share on social media. Bye.
Welcome back to Have You Heard right here on Rude Rangers Entertainment. And I want you to welcome back my fabulous friends and co-host, Coach Heidi K and Burdell Jones. So here on this show, we're just talking about a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So go ahead and continue to share this program, get your friends involved. We want to hear what you have to say. So, you know what I've been thinking about, guys? I've been thinking about people being rude. Oh my gosh. I think since this pandemic, I think people are so anxious that they're driving in an anxious way. They are in a rush to get wherever they need to get to, and they're not thinking about anybody else. I call it the bubble. Everybody's in this bubble. And I just feel like people are just, I don't know if they're becoming more rude or I'm just noticing it more. But I also notice it, just generational, this thing. I notice that younger people, not all of them, but, just normal, what I would think a formal way of greeting people, just a formality. Good morning, good afternoon. I don't hear those things anymore. People just come in and start talking to you. I'm like, wait a second. So I've just been noticing that I don't know. I don't know if you ladies have seen the same thing. I just feel like everybody's like on like 10 or something and just completely not good morning, good afternoon, how are you? Nothing.
I think it probably has to do with COVID in that, sometimes, especially at my most anxious times, when, we didn't know what was going on with this thing, how you can catch it. If I was going for a walk, I was almost, I think, like glaring at people so they wouldn't start having a conversation with me, because I don't want their germs near me. So maybe even inadvertently, I'm like giving off vibes, like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Like, that's the last thing I want, because like then maybe droplets are going to come my way. Anything but droplets,
Right.
So
Droplets.
yeah, droplets. So I think maybe people are, like you're describing it as a bubble. We're almost trying to walk around in a bubble not to get the germs, and maybe giving off like a bit of a rude vibe, prevents somebody from approaching us. It's like a survival mode or something.
Yeah, and those,
go ahead.
the masks don't help, because I always, being a counselor, and being in the education field, I always use my expression to convey a message. So when you have a mask on, I always smile at people, and they can't see me. It's my eye, maybe that they see it in the eyes, I don't know. But it's very difficult to show that expression on your face of, you can come approach me, I'm a friendly person. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.
I agree with you, because I feel like when people put on this mask, it's like they put on that bubble. So there was I remember I had one of my nephews, when he was little, he would say, "You can't see me." He would close his eye. "You can't see me. You can't see me." It just, yeah. So he would think that he was invisible because he had closed his eyes. So I think what happens is people, when they put on the mask, they become invisible.
Yeah.
And like you, Burdell, I find myself smizing, like I use my eyes to smile.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But have that if you're wearing sunglasses. If you're wearing sunglasses,
forget it, you're done.
All over. All
You
over.
look like an alien.
Yeah.
But I've just been, so I think as you said earlier, Coach Heidi, that, people, it's kind of hard for us to navigate right now. So we're not connecting as well as we used to. But I just find that people are just not as friendly. And I think that now people are starting to get a little bit calmer. But when I'm on the road, I'm like, go ahead, you can take that. But it was interesting, because I was trying to find out, well, if I was the only one feeling like that. So I went online and I found this cute article on rude behaviors. So this person went on to list what were the top 25, but I wanted to share like the top 10. But I had to look up the definition of rude. So what do you guys think the definition of rude is?
Wow. Rude.
Yeah.
Is mean anywhere in that description?
Not in the definition I found. I mean, it is a behavior.
Right. Or just
Think
like
about
a nonchalant disregard for others.
Okay. Very close.
I-
Okay, what do you think it
I
means to
would
be
say,
rude?
Abrupt, ignoring needs of others, something like that.
You guys are pretty much on target. To be
Of
rude
course we
means-
are. Of course we
You're
are.
on target, of course. I mean, this is Have You Heard?
Yeah.
I can only be surrounded by intelligent women. I mean, come on.
That's right. Girl power.
But rock on. But so to be rude means you're stepping out of the norm. You're going against whatever society or group
Oh, interesting.
considers the norm, right?
Okay.
So for us, for example, if we burp at the table, we consider that rude, right? But there are certain cultures that consider that to be a compliment,
Flattering.
right?
Probably.
So whatever is against our societal norms is considered rude. And so one of the things that I found was women tend to be more bothered by rude behavior than men. So I'm like, because we're sensitive and we make sense. That's what I said. But I might be a little gender biased.
Yeah.
So women tend to be more bothered, and they said there's a generational differentiation as well. What younger people would find to be rude and what older people would find to be rude are two different things because of that generational gap. So, for example, like for us, I know for me, I find it to be rude if I'm at dinner and we're at a table, we're talking, and somebody pulls out their phone. I'm like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be engaging in conversation.
Right.
But if you look at a younger generation, they're like,
that's not rude.
They're not bothered. It's not rude to them, right? So What do you guys think? Like,
You know,
for me, that's a big piece.
the younger generation, you said it's different for them. In my world of education, in the particular district that I'm in, it's a very close-knit community. So the parents know each other, the kids know the parents of other kids. So I find that our students in my particular district are the most polite. I mean, I've never seen more polite kids in my life. And I think it's because, they come and thank you, hi, how are you? Have a great day, like all of this. I think it's because of the close-knit community that it is, and they have parents that are they know everybody, so they're used to that cordial behavior, and it's just something that I found very interesting in that close-knit community.
That's like the definition of it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah,
so in your village, they're doing a great job, but so many places in the world, there's not much community. So there's really not a village raising a child.
Right.
People are so much more isolated.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And it's really interesting that you ladies even mentioned that, because that is actually the top 10. That is part of the top 10. The number 10 behavior that people would consider to be rude are ill-mannered children. That's number 10. So I was like, I definitely would find that, because I have my little niece, and we make sure, she's a polite young lady as it is, but if she ever even thinks about stepping out of that norm.
Right. And it is. Right, and it's that raising of them. I remember we used to take our kids out to dinner, and people would actually walk over to our table and say, they are so well behaved. And, in my mind, I'm like, what did you expect them to be doing?
Right. Running around throwing food.
Right. But they were. And we took them at a young age. We didn't say, hey, we're not going to take them because they're young and they don't know how to behave. We made sure that they would behave when they were in a public space, Right. So I think that's an important piece.
It's very important. Go ahead.
It's role modeling too. It's role modeling. So I can say where I find some rudeness happening is on the beach. Okay, so we started to venture to the beach, and I'm all set up where we feel we've got like our nice water view. We're up near the ocean, and then somebody comes right in front of us and starts pitching their tent and their umbrella, and like, we're just looking at the ocean. What happened? And
that's that bubble. No consideration. It's completely oblivious. And they don't even mean it. They don't even understand.
They don't mean it, but it's rude, because it's out of the norm. You don't go in front of somebody who's looking at the ocean trying to get peaceful. So then their children are looking at them, and without saying a word, that's what they're absorbing, that you don't have to look, at the people around you. Even though, they're not trying to be purposely rude, and who knows, maybe I've done it myself, but, the kids are watching, and then they're getting that lesson.
Right. That it's okay to just pitch your tent in front of somebody.
Right.
All right, so here's number 9, taking credit for other people's work. That is considered to be, I'm like, that's obvious, but taking credit for other people's work. That would piss me off. If I work hard on something, and I'm like the complete opposite, because if somebody does something, I credit you heavily. Like, this wasn't my idea, so and so did it, because that bothers me. Personal grooming in public. That's number 8.
Oh my goodness. On the Long Island Railroad, I've seen it happening. This isn't your bathroom. And I don't think it's a good idea to tweeze your eyebrows on a movie.
Right. Deodorant,
Put it on the combing your hair. Flossing.
Not flossing.
Flossing. I've seen that. I'm like, you've got debris coming out of your teeth. Really?
Oh, no.
Wow. That was number 8. Number 7, treating store employees or a waiter rudely.
Oh, yeah.
Waiter or waitress rudely.
Yes.
That was number 7. That's a no-no. Yes, big pet peeve.
Yep.
cashiers, number 6 is cashiers who don't acknowledge customers at checkout.
Oh,
You know, they like just having a bad day. Or I didn't know this happened, but you know, they're on their cell phones while they're checking out customers. I didn't even know that happened, but
it does.
it could be having a
does.
bad day. So for me, I guess one of the supermarkets I love to go to, the cashiers are just so like, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? And I'm just like, you guys are just so happy and perky, and it makes a difference.
It makes
It's
a
those
difference.
little ways that you could change another person's day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to fast forward because this is really good. But the top, guess what the number 1 is? Number 1 is not picking up after your dog, after you let them use the
Oh
bathroom.
boy.
Curb your dog.
Curb your dog. You should
That
see me.
is
Like when I see people
rude.
walking their dogs, I'm like, where's your little plastic bag? You don't have a little plastic bag under here? You trying to let your dog...
Rude with a capital R.
Big time. You want to pick it up and just flick it at you.
Oh no. That's even worse than flossing.
Right.
So we want to leave you guys with this. If you've got some kind of rude behavior going, if you have friends, ask them, hey, is there anything that I find that I do annoying? Just let me know. Let them let you know you can work on that. Because you could be on this list. Coach Heidi might have to kick sand at you or something. Get her away. Guys, thank you for joining us here on Have You Heard? Share, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com, KeishaGems.com.
Everybody, welcome back to Have You Heard? My fabulous co-host, Coach Heidi K and Burdell Jones. So ladies, where can everybody find you?
Well, I guess I'll start this one. You can find me at Deli Teach. That's DELITEACH on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Awesome. Coach Heidi.
Okay, you can find me at Coach Heidi K on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me on my website at reinventionlifecoaching.com. Join my Facebook group at Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K. And come on and listen to my podcast and hear lots more at Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K, wherever you enjoy your shows.
And you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook as @The Fitter Woman, and you can check me out on my website on thefitterwoman.com. And you can also tune in to my show, Muscles and Stilettos, right here on Rude Rangers Entertainment. So today, I learned a lot. I learned from Coach Heidi K that virtual dating is a thing, and you can actually meet nice people on it. Just watch out for the clinger.
Excessive, right? Those extreme, those extremers, the extremists.
He says they're waving the red flag. So
yes, from the rooftop, from the rooftop.
Right, that's right. Stay away, stay away. You know, I think this was a great conversation. We all had something that kind of made the light bulb in my head go off. You know, being out of the dating scene, well, not even out of it, not being in the dating scene, really. It's so insight that I can share with my children about those red flags and how this whole new dating scene really is in reference to the virtual date and what that actually looks like, and make suggestions to them about taking their potential partners out, and I think that was important, and rudeness too. I think we all experience that situation of people being rude, and I think one thing we have to really think about with that also is how we deal with it. We can always change our reaction to it. We don't have to react. We can just move on and let it go.
Yeah. So, wow, I learned a lot about rudeness and some more red flags to talk about with my dating clients. Definitely do not floss in public. That's for sure. That's going to be a huge red flag. No. Really don't also, brag about how you've been living back home for years with mom and dad. That's not going to go over well either.
Leave that off the dating profile.
Yeah, delete that. Finesse that one a little bit, but not if it's just for a short time. Then that's pretty cool. And then just play up your family togetherness and all of those great family values and fun that you have with your family. And that's going to be the opposite of a red flag. So trust your inner wisdom. Your inner wisdom will guide you. Even if you're flattered by someone who's coming on the extreme, trust your inner wisdom to know that it's not going to go where you want it to go. You have all the answers within. All you need to do is tune into those answers and let them guide you. You are the wisest one about you.
Right.
So that's an important lesson for me.
Intuition is so important, definitely. So I want to, we're gonna wrap up. This has been an awesome conversation. I want to thank my co-host, Coach Heidi, and the Fitter Woman, Dina. You can check us out on ruderangers.com. You are watching Have You Heard? And it's powered by the Rude Rangers Entertainment Network. And we are so excited to be sharing this information with you. Make sure you like and share. Make sure you make comments so we can kind of interact with you and answer any questions that you might have. And just once again, if we can all just let people know where they can get in touch with us, that would be great.
You can find me at The Fitter Woman. You can find me at thefitterwoman.com. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. I also host the show Muscles and Stilettos right here on Rude Rangers Entertainment.
Awesome.
Coach Heidi K on Facebook and Instagram. Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K. That's the name of my podcast and the name of my Facebook group. So come on and join me. Reinventionlifecoaching.com is my website.
Awesome. And I'm Verdell Jones. You can reach me at Deli Teach, and that's on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And you can also check out my show Conversations with Verdell Jones. I have a Facebook page with that name as well. And you can also check me out on Let's Kick It with the Joneses, which is on ruderangers.com as well. So thanks for watching, everybody. Let's say goodbye, ladies.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good talking with you, everybody.
I should do those.